legal notice 112 of 2020, which has separated the localization into two phases. We did the first phase beginnings of 2015 and fully localized by 2017. At that time, the regulations were in processing. They were to come into force in 2020. Then we have gone into the phase 2, where we are localizing the second set of 7 parts, as you have seen in our line. These have come in as a benefit to increasing the capacity of imported parts in the CKD. Once we reduce the parts by localizing some of them, we can import more quantities in a container than we could import while with the parts. I also have to note that we are currently assembling our wheel locally. We are having importation of wheels unassembled as per the regulation and assembling them locally. Okay, the 7 parts that were in the first phase are the side stand, the main stand, the pillion steps. The pillion steps are 2, right-hand side and left-hand side. The carrier, we have the crash guard, and there was battery water. Then the second set of 7 parts are the headlight stay, the mainstay, we call it back on step here, the brake arm, we have the seat, we have the air cleaner, we have the wiring harness, and we have the battery. But we also now have the unattached parts as per the regulation. The wheel has started coming in unattached. That means tube, tire, rim separate, then being joined while in Kenya. As of now, for the steel parts, I can say the country is really gearing towards having all the materials available. For step 1, all the materials are available locally. For step 2, now that we are just starting, we are in consultations with the suppliers for them to get the materials done here. Where it is completely impossible for now, they will be importing in the meantime while they work with the steel industry to produce. But for the other parts that are including plastic parts and some foams, for example, the air cleaner has some complicated parts. The seat also has some foam. We are developing the technologies with the local suppliers, phase by phase. It is a journey we have to walk together. Then in future, we expect that we can fully localize the seat. So for now, we are assembling the seat locally. We are having some of the parts of the seats made in Kenya, and we are having some imported, but we are working towards localizing all of them. This goes for the seat and the air cleaner. Now, you can see behind me, we have a line. We are actually intending on installing another line. I know as of now you may not be able to count the people behind me, but we are at 101 employees in HMK, just running this assembly line, which is a very small one. Our assembly line has a capacity of 168 per day. If we install another line, it will be another 168 per day, totaling to around 336, sorry.
I'm Pavit Singh Kent. I'm the Managing Director of MCI Limited. We're a parts and component manufacturer. So we manufacture the first 6 parts for the motorcycle CKD. Well, it's been an arduous journey. We began motorcycle parts production in 2013, so it's been a long journey since. We've had several challenges, namely being the regulations that were discussed today. So it's been challenging in the sense that convincing the private sector that localization is a very good idea.
We've been making wiring harnesses for the automotive sector since 1986. We've supplied OEMs in the automotive sector, the like of Isuzu, Mitsubishi with wiring harnesses, and now we are transitioning to supply harnesses to the motorcycle sector.
We manufacture the rear carrier, the engine guard, the main stand, the side stand, and the footrest, both left and right. And we've started now phase 2, which is the seat, the main bar footrest, and the headlight stay. And we have one such example. Here you have a rear carrier that is manufactured for Bajaj. So the entire product is manufactured locally, right from the raw materials to the entire processing of the component, bending, cutting, welding, powder coating, it's all locally done.
So what we have here is a wiring harness for an electric motorbike called Opibus. You've all heard about Opibus. Opibus is in the business of converting gasoline driven motorcycles to electric motorcycles. So they just replace the engine with the battery. So that is very green. It reduces the carbon emission. So we've partnered with them since 2019. We've developed and designed this harness, which has been running their bikes. So I have orders running for them. So this you can see it's harness. Just for the sake of who are listening, harness is not very appealing to the eyes. It's the central nervous system of the vehicle. This is what gives power to the vehicle. So we designed this with them, and this is what has been driving their bikes. We've got other harnesses that we've developed. Some are at several stages, some are being tested, and the testing is installing them in the bikes. So a number of our harnesses are running with boda riders, so that to make sure that they meet the required standards.
My name is Ashit Shah. I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing for Mutsimoto. We manufacture filters, oil filters, fuel filters, air filters. I'm also the Chair of Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association and the automotive sector of CAM. I'm also the Chair there. In terms of parts manufacturers, it's not a concern. We have all the installed capacities. Currently, we are only running at about 30-35%. We still have a capacity for 65% to explore and do. In terms of quality, we have registered with KEBS. We are all our products are checked with KEBS. We have a standard with KEBS, and we all make the products to KEBS standard. Plus, we have also partnered with the OEs. They come with the technical specifications and tell us that this is the standard they want for their products.
Well, quality is something that doesn't come overnight, and we've had a journey since 2013. So it's been one of technical transfers that happened between an OEM, in this case maybe we can refer to Honda, Bajaj and TVS, where they bring technical experts and they train you on understanding firstly your drawings, your technical specifications, the correct materials and testing requirements. So when you refer to quality, you must ascertain that the product must conform to a drawing. Then we have the last level, which is KEBS. So Kenya Bureau of Standards helps to certify our products against specifications. So with quality, I'm very confident that we tick all the boxes. We are one of the first companies, along with pipe manufacturers, that have got approvals from Honda Engineering Standards. This is a Japanese approval that our parts are world class.
So the new regulation, we've been working on the new regulation since 2013 to develop and create employment in Kenya. These regulations from 2013 we had expected to generate about 150,000 jobs in Kenya directly to manufacture components for the motorcycle assembly for local content. Today we are 9 years down the road. We have hardly done 14 parts and employing about 3,000 people. We've got a roadmap to do about 34-35 parts within the next few years so that we can create more employment.
Sure, I'd like to take you back to COVID time. So this regulation came in at June 2020. It couldn't have come at a better time. We were going through a very difficult period where we had seen significant job losses. We were a workforce as strong as 200 and dropped down to 70, and we were facing down the barrel at the time. So when the regulations came, it gave us a glimmer of hope. We swiftly increased our employment up to 600 people, which we are today. We now work 7 days a week for 2 shifts. So this plant started making 4,000 parts a month, and today it makes 120,000 parts a month and growing. So the vision of MCI is to continue to grow, and not only to supply Kenya, but to supply the entire East African region.
There are a number of things that can be done. For a start, the regulation is very ideal because as an investor, you want to work in a predictable environment. You want to invest knowing that you are working in an orderly environment. So that is one. Secondly, for all the intermediate goods that we use to make these harnesses so that we can bring down the prices. We need to get the duty remission so that we don't pay duty for them, and we are able to pass that benefit to the customer, to the final consumer, so that we don't end up producing an item that is very expensive. And there are various other incentives by the government, like the cost of power to the manufacturers and other main inputs that the government should look into so that it makes it easy for the manufacturer to produce at a competitive price.
In Kenya, we are very competitive, okay? Especially with the new regulation we have that all our inputs come in duty-free, because we get duty remission on all our raw materials which we manufacture motorcycle parts with. So we can compete, and pricing is not an issue for us. If pricing was an issue, then we would not be exporting to Uganda and Tanzania. They would be buying from China, right? So our market in EAC is growing. Our market in sub-Saharan Africa is growing. And I think our people in Kenya are very hardworking and very efficient to the rest of Africa. And I think that makes a big difference as well. We also have a lot of investors from South Africa and Egypt who are looking into Kenya to invest, to manufacture certain parts of motorcycle. We have an investor who wants to partner with a local wiring harness manufacturer to produce wiring harness for the rest of the world in Kenya, because our people are quite efficient.
We source our raw material from various sources. I'll start with the local sources. So our cables, we source them from local cable manufacturers, the like of ASL cables. There are also a number of other manufacturers for the tubings. Those are called the wire harness protectors. There are other items that we make at the factory. The rubber items, we call them the grommet. So we have the machinery to make and molds to make certain parts for the harnesses. Then there are those parts that we have to source from the original equipment manufacturers, the people who have come up with the design of the harnesses. They are called the components. These are the fuses, the connectors, fuse wires, and very specific items that we source from outside, so that we are able to make the harness.